Good morning, everybody. My name is Andy Godfrey. I'm the founder and CEO of Upward Drone Solutions. I'm currently based out of Pensacola Beach, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to explain our services to you this morning. Like the company name suggests, we provide solutions to problems by utilizing drone technology. We are a relatively new company. Originally, what fueled my interest in drone technology was its abilities to simplify commercial window cleaning and building washing. Just as I had outfitted myself with all the necessary equipment, hired a marketing agency and lined up a few meetings with potential hotel clients, COVID-19 hit. The exterior appearance of commercial buildings was no longer a top priority to companies. Drone technology is pretty adaptable, and we were able to connect with the drone's engineers and reconfigure our drones to provide commercial sanitation. There is no doubt about it, COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on the world in more ways than one. As restrictions are being lifted and cases continue to spike, it has become clear that sanitation protocols need to be implemented. Traditional sanitization, where it exists, isn't efficient when it comes to routinely applying disinfectants to high traffic areas. It's time consuming, expensive, and low tech. Let's use a standard 57,600 square foot football field as a metric for comparing sanitizing methods. Using a traditional spray and wipe technique, you can sanitize just over 3,000 square feet per hour. That means to clean the surface area of a football field, it would take approximately 18 hours. Consider another method, the Victory hand sprayer, which is a top of the line piece of professional equipment used to sanitize large areas efficiently. It can cover just over 8,000 square feet in an hour. So sanitizing the surface area of a football field would take just over 7 hours, which is pretty impressive. However, it is not as impressive as using drone technology for major surface area sanitization. Our drone can cover up to 115,000 square feet in just 1 hour. That means to clean the surface area of an entire football field, it would take only 30 minutes, which makes our drone 14 times faster than a backpack sprayer. 14 times faster than a hand or backpack sprayer. Because of our drone's exceptional speed, our pricing model is much more cost effective. Based on our research, traditional sanitization costs on average $1,200 an hour. If it takes them either 7 or 18 hours to do what we can do in half an hour, our total price point is always going to be more affordable. Not only are we less expensive, we have better tech. Traditional cleaning success is based on how thoroughly a human was able to clean. Our drone is equipped with an electrostatically charged mist to ensure that an even blanket of the chosen disinfectant gets 3D coverage of everything in the space. Our FAA certified pilots can safely fly the sanitization drone both inside and outside. And because our drone is chemically agnostic, we can use whichever disinfectant you prefer. Though our drone is chemically agnostic, if you aren't sure which disinfectant you would like to use, we have one on hand. We like to use Zetrasil. It is safe, kills the virus within minutes, and can provide a protective barrier that can last approximately 14 days. Here is our drone demonstration sanitizing the Blue Wahoo Stadium, a great example of an outdoor use case. Here is another demonstration of our drone sanitizing the Soul Kitchen, a concert venue in Mobile. And it's a great example of an indoor use case. So far, we have used our drone to apply disinfectant to 3 large stadiums, 2 large warehouses, and an indoor concert venue. But the possibilities are endless. We are currently trying to connect with corporate property managers, city officials, airports, and distribution centers. If you have any contacts with these people or industries, we would be very appreciative. If you would like, you can drop your email in the chat, and I can follow up with a condensed version of this presentation and an FAQ sheet on our services. Thank you for your time. I'd now like to open this up for some questions.
All right, very good. Excellent, thank you. I'm Sam Graber. I'm going to help you all through the question session. You can go into where you see participants, click on that. A white box will come up at the very bottom. You can see the little blue hand. Hit that, and that will let me know you have a question. All right, any questions from the floor?
Participants, I can't see it, Sam.
It's down at the very bottom. If you open that at the bottom, where
Yeah,
you found the share screen. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, we've got David Dyer has a question. Please go ahead, David, unmute yourself.
Thank you, Andy. That's really creative.
Yeah.
Nice presentation, and obviously a big use right now, or big need.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was curious, 2 things. When you look at exterior use and, you know, the efficiency of, I would think some wind could blow this off. So do you have any backup or studies or data that shows the efficiency of the backpack sprayer you mentioned versus the your drone sprayer? And then second, indoors, is there any concern with electronics?
I'll address the second part of that question first. As far as indoors go, no. We can spray over the top of computers, any electronic device. It doesn't harm them at all. It leaves a very fine mist. You can actually, if we did inside a grocery store, we can actually use a disinfectant that's food grade. I mean, we wouldn't advise it, but we can. The wind question, we will not fly in any more wind than 10 miles an hour. I mean, it's a safety issue with the drone itself, and the wind, it affects the mist that comes out.
Sure.
But at 10 miles an hour, it's not a problem.
Okay.
We fly about, the optimal height's 8 feet above the surface.
Okay, excellent. You might include that in your presentation possibly, just to answer that. That's probably a common question. Awesome. All right, and Brian Wire has a question for you.
A great presentation. I was really fascinated in the fact how you pivoted from the window washing to something that's very important right now with the sanitizing. Do you have any major competitors that you're working with against that currently do your same functionality?
With a drone?
Yes.
No, we do not. There is a company out of New Jersey that are trying to adapt a DJI drone. The problem with that is when that breaks, they can't have it fixed. I mean, and the drone we have, we built. So we can adapt it, we can repair it, and everything on there we understand completely. So yeah, their business model, it's going to be very difficult for them.
Great question. All right, and we have another question from Jay Massey, please. Go ahead and unmute yourself there, Jay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Sorry, we have a cat in the picture too.
Morning, kitty.
my question, actually, I was watching in the Soul Kitchen. I noticed how the prop wash seemed to be actually very effective in pushing the aerosol downward, which was very interesting. I was also interested in the outside application, and you addressed that with the wind. but what altitude do you tend to keep this drone hovering as you're moving across the surface? And how long does this mist take to dry before people can re-enter? And third question, is it safe for your drone operator indoors? Well,
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Go
that's
ahead.
it.
No, I cut you off, sorry.
No, it's all good.
The indoors, yes, we have total control over the drone at all times. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend someone trying to do that hasn't got experience flying that drone. But yeah, we have LiDAR on there as well, which is a anti-collision sensor, which we will set to a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet. The optimal height for the drone to function is 8 feet above the surface. And that prop watch you were watching, the prop wash, I mean, that's the concept is the props force the mist down. That that wash you're seeing, we've actually now got propellers on the jets themselves, which eliminates that wash you were seeing, and it forces everything down.
Cool, cool.
So that prop wash on what we've developed now, that doesn't exist.
So what was a prop wash bug in the past is now a feature.
Yes. There's basically 2 little propellers that are on the jets that you see that now force everything down.
Cool.
Great work.
Excellent. Thanks.
Awesome. Great question. We have another question from Brian. Please go ahead, Brian.
I guess I'm really fascinated by this because of what's going on with the virus right now. So how are you getting into the different places who may want to be used for hiring your services? And the second question was, how about your pilots that are using the drones? Do you have a workforce that's available permanently staffed with you, or only needed for different jobs?
Well, I mean, primarily at the moment, well, let's start out with your initial part of that question. At the moment, it's a waiting game for us. The bigger venues, we've spoken to a couple of NFL teams. We've been in touch with NHL teams.
Okay.
And we've also been to 7 or 8 SEC schools. And they are waiting for the leagues or the NCAA and in some cases the state to make a decision. No one's making a decision, which is part of the problem. So I'm hoping that the government at some point realizes we need to have some sort of sanitation protocol here and implement this and say, look, if you're going to open the business, do some sort of sanitation. You can open the business if people want to wear masks, they can do that. But we need to have something in place I mean, we're a mitigation service. We're not a panacea. I mean, but
Right.
so we did in the larger scale venues, we're waiting. In the smaller ones, some of the businesses that are open that are trying to function, I mean, they're struggling because they're not making very much money. So they don't really have the budget to incorporate it at the moment. And we try and work with them. So it's kind of we're basically waiting. Does that answer it somewhat? Hello?
He's nodding his head, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Graber, I have a question.
Yes. Excellent, Jim. Yes, please.
For whatever reason, the host is not able to raise their hand, so I have to tell you that. So, Andy, currently your solution requires a drone operator. Is there a level of autonomy coming in this industry to where it'll be humanless at some point?
Yes. Eventually, yes. When we were talking about doing the commercial exterior building cleaning, we were getting to a point where we could basically graph the building, program the drone to fly a certain pattern, and it would follow that. And we would just basically have to be there and monitor it on a screen. That's going to be a little bit more difficult inside, but not much. And when we know what type of business we have, I would assume that the majority of it's going to be indoors. But if we start getting into stadiums, that would be a little bit more difficult. But yes, eventually it will become automated, I believe.
Excellent.
But not with it won't happen in the next year.
Sure.
Sure. Good question. We have one more question from Michael Silver. Please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Andy, great presentation.
Hey, Michael.
I was curious what type of licensing with the FAA was required, if any, and does that set you up to be one of the first to be doing deliveries when they do allow drones to do delivery type services? Is that a solution that's down the line?
You have to be FAA Part 107 to fly. In answer to the other one, the delivery, that's an ongoing situation because they're going to have to waive the rules. They've allowed, I think, Amazon to fly. I want to say it's Wake. It's one of the universities in Carolina. I think it's Wake Forest. They've allowed them to fly around the campus. But in theory, you're not allowed to fly more than, line of sight. When it comes to delivering things, a drone can only carry one package. I mean, we are required to stay under 55 pounds, total weight. If we go over 55 pounds, you're talking about a whole different animal. You've got to get waivers. It's a different process altogether. I mean, our drone, when it's fully loaded, weighs about 54.6 pounds. I don't know how Amazon are going to get into the delivery thing because they can carry one package and then what?
Yeah.
They can't carry multiple packages. Like
Great
I say,
question, though.
rule as well. So there's a multitude of things, but I mean, eventually drones are going to be everywhere. I mean, I get updated on a lot of drone stuff. I know they are developing a flight air traffic control system for them, where they've all got to be licensed and registered so they can be monitored where they are and what they're doing. And every time I put the drone in the air, or when I was doing the commercial cleaning anyway, every time we put the drone in the air, we had to go onto AirMap, apply to the FAA for flight clearance, even at the heights we're flying at. So it's regulated heavily.
Yeah, that's interesting. We have one more question from McKenna Curtis. If you could please go ahead and unmute it. There you are. She's there.
Hey, thank you, Sam. Hey,
Yeah.
Andy, awesome
Hey,
presentation.
how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
You too.
So I'm interested, and this is kind of a cool segue because the delivery stuff sounds awesome, but something that seems more maybe realistic right now and more close to home, my dad just started working for a mosquito spraying business, and I'm like freaking out for him because I'm like, man, you're gonna get, COPD, your lungs are gonna die. Like, what is the solution for people that are in that business to be able to still be efficient and run a business? Because that's really what he wants to do, is run the business. But how do you do that and keep people safe from, the toxins and the chemicals that I don't necessarily think are good for the environment anyways, but I think mosquitoes, and that is a problem that, especially in Florida, we experience heavily here.
South Florida is huge.
Yeah. Is that something that you guys have talked with people about? I mean, I'm sure that's a hot topic being the summer, and something that you guys could potentially be spraying for those businesses.
You aren't the first person that's mentioned that. We haven't, but I don't know what they spray to kill mosquitoes, but we could find out very easily.
Right.
And I'm sure that we could run it through the drone. It's not something what we're trying to do is we're trying to scale it on a lot bigger. I mean, that we don't really want to go down that road because that's just going to keep us into that.
Right.
To
Very
market
niche.
specifically for that, it's not really worth it. If we get hold of county officials or something, because I mean, we've got hurricanes coming up soon as well. So, I mean, you're going to put all these people inside shelters? Do you need those sanitizers? So if we get in front of the right people, we'll bring up the mosquito issue.
Right.
And
So
if
it's
I was-
mainly sanitation based.
At the moment, it's entirely sanitation based.
Cool.
But if I was your father, I would get a ventilator mask if he's going to spray that stuff.
He's covered head to toe, but at the same time, I still think, you know, innovation is key, and he can always be more efficient if they ever wanted to consider their safety. But that's another issue. But
Well,
thank you, Andy.
He's interested in we can work with him using this.
Yeah. I'll definitely mention it. I think it's it's a solution in that regard, but I didn't know if your solutions went outside of the spectrum of just sanitation, or if they were just related to providing solutions for companies trying to disperse.
We would sit and talk with your father's company, yes, if they wanted to. We will spray, we can put just about anything through the system. Because we were talking about at one point doing it with paint. Painting exteriors of buildings. The problem with that is the higher you go, it's going to blow everywhere, and it's a bit of a problem. Bridges, maybe you could paint with it. But yeah, we will talk to someone if you wanted to.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, McKenna.
All right, great questions. I would like to just add one thing in here for you. Have you looked at licensing or selling the drones to other companies? Because I think you've got a couple different aspects through which you can generate income. You said you built these yourselves? Yeah.
We would consider selling them, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's one NFL team that doesn't want their name disclosed that have mentioned that, because they have their maintenance people have been there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't going to remove them, but they also realize that we've got the only viable option for what they're trying to do. So they are considering buying them.
Okay. I assume you have patents on this technology.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, very interesting. Are there any more questions from the floor? If not, we will move on. All right.
Thank you, Dr.
Excellent.
Graber.
You're welcome.
The last question we have for you, Andy, is we always ask this during the presentation, is what can the community do for you? What can the people listening to this Zoom call do now to help you out in your business?
Make us a talking point. You know, if you're at a bar and you've got nothing else to talk about, say, you know, just mention it. Say, you know, I listened to this really cool presentation the other day, and or at a dinner party, you know, and when it gets a bit awkward, no one's got anything to say. You know, just talk about us, really.
Thank you so much, Andy. I will throw one more thing in as well. I think if you can get the message out through the TV, through the newspaper, and people see that. I don't know if you have done that yet, but if not, maybe I can help give you some contacts to help out, because I think it's amazing. It's wonderful. I think this is definitely needed now. And I think it's just getting the word out and getting some answers from the government and local officials of where they want to move forward. But I think it's a wonderful ideal.
We thank you for that. And yes, we have tried. We've had a little bit of success with the TV, but not much. But that's an avenue I agree we need to go down. The BBC, you know, I'm sure you know the BBC, all right?
Yeah.
Right. They ran a piece. They were looking for high-tech companies that were adapting to deal with trying to help with the COVID situation. And they ran an article.
Great. Well, thanks again, Andy. I have your information. I may be giving you a call with some possible leads to get in to do some stories for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And thank everybody for joining me this morning, and enjoy your day.
Great. Thank you, Andy.